Welcome back, dear listeners, to another powerful episode of Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm your host, Avik, and today we are getting into something that sits right at the intersection of discipline, mindset, and motion. Like how physical outlets like working out or martial arts don't just build the muscle, but they build momentum in every other part of your life. So, dear listeners, our guest today knows this better than the most. So, please welcome Mike Barefoot. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great. I've heard some of your other podcasts and you do a great job with the different variety of guests you have. So I'm glad to be here.
Amazing. Great to hear. And so, dear listeners, like before we delve deep into the discussion today, I'll quickly love to introduce you with Mike. So, Mike has spent over 27 years in the staffing industry, placing over 1,000 professionals, generating more than $50 million in revenue, and earning top honors like Rookie of the Year, Performer of the Year, and multiple President's Club awards. But beyond the business stats, he is a 37-year martial art practitioner with a seventh degree black belt in karate, fourth degree in jiu-jitsu, and fourth degree in kickboxing. So he's also a multiple time Hall of Fame inductee and a speaker who's helped MBA students, executives, and entrepreneurs reach new heights in both the careers and the personal lives. So, Mike lives what he teaches, that movement isn't just about the fitness, it's all about focus, leadership, and showing up better everywhere else in your life. So, today we'll be driving uh, into how physical discipline fuels mental excellence, professional success, and at the same time, emotional resilience as well. So, wait, let's get started. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you. It's a, like I said, it's a real honor to be here. And I want to, share and give back. So this is a real opportunity.
Mm.
Yeah, I look at it as for me.
Amazing, amazing. So, Mike, like, I mean, you have coached and placed thousands of professionals. Like, so from what you have seen, how does maintaining a kind of consistent physical outlet like martial arts or fitness impact someone's professional performance and the mental toughness? What do you say?
I've always been raised with the mantra that moderation is the key to success
Okay.
or the key to life. And so I've got an education and, put myself in a position to enter the workforce from that perspective. But I also had outlets like working out and whether it was lifting weights or doing martial arts or playing basketball or anything like that, it gave me kind of a conduit or an outlet in order to, maybe get rid of some of the pressure or vent and I think you come in, recharged and refreshed when you do go in the workforce, more so than if you don't have outlets to go to once the work day's over. And a lot of times, if you don't have those outlets, the pressure tends to linger more with you, where you can let out that frustration through a physical activity. And it just, gives you a chance to, like I said, recharge and then go back the next day refreshed. Sometimes it gives you an avenue to generate new ideas and to be more productive as well.
Got it. Got it. So, okay. So, like, can you recall a time like when physical training directly helped you break through a major challenge in your business or the leadership journey?
Uh, yeah, I mean, there have been times where, you'd have a manager
Mm.
who would talk about a project that was a major project that you could staff for, and they were utilizing you as their primary or main source to staff for an initiative that they have. And there's little hurdles along the way. It could be budgetary, it could be management
Mm.
hurdle above them. It could and elongates and extends the process. And it's kind of like ready, set, stop, and you're constantly on the edge of your seat thinking it's going to happen on this date. And then they say, well,
Mm.
this inherent hurdle or this unexpected impediment came into place, and we have to wait for this to happen before we can move forward. And when you put a lot of energy and effort, and sometimes these projects you've talked about for months and months with managers, and you can let it really frustrate you. And if you did let it ultimately come out from beneath the surface within you, you could
Mm.
mess up a relationship potentially with that manager, and take your frustration out of them and say, well, you said it was going to be this date and it's a month later. I think that when you have those types of situations, and this has happened a lot during my career, you you take that negative energy where it's not coming to fruition as quickly as you want it to,
Mm.
and say, well, at the end of the workday I'm going to do X, or I'm going to do Y, whatever that activity is. Sometimes it's a physical activity in terms of working out, sometimes it's a leisure activity, but use that as a diversion. And then, you don't let it derail the relationship you have with the manager or the project that's impending, that you want to see come, like I said, to full development. You let, those things kind of naturally happen, and as opposed to, becoming two battering rams, and you take your frustration
Mm.
out of that person, and that person in turn could take their frustration out on you. So I just noticed that you're able to take that negative energy and put it elsewhere.
Got it. So it's really powerful. I mean, because it's such a clear reminder that the body and the mind are not kind of separate departments. They are just a part of one company, right? So when you
Sure.
strengthen one, you definitely automatically upgrade the other one as well. So that is very true. And like you have said before, that having a physical outlet helps push you towards the excellence in other parts of your life. So if you can break that down for us, like what's actually happening, and they're on a kind of mental or even the emotional level as well.
Um, I think that, you know, when you're competitive, I've always been more competitive with myself than anyone else. And I've had managers that have brought me in for meetings, and when we're doing, monthly one-on-ones, managers, when I worked in a corporate environment, I would start before they would even say anything, say, well, I could do better at this and I need to do better at that. And I've had
Mhm.
managers just sit back and say, I don't have to say a whole lot because you're your own worst critic. And that being said, um, a lot of times I've realized, and I've had to kind of, monitor that, where I'm internally competitive to the nth degree, and I
Mhm.
just want to be better in whatever I'm doing, whether it be, something physical or something work related, or getting your education, or being a better parent, or a better whatever. Um, I find that you're never going to be perfect in in terms of your results, but you can be perfect in terms of your intent. So I try to just go with the idea that I'm trying to be as good as I can be in all the areas of my life. And well, I find that when you're balanced in other areas, that things tend to make you better and more productive in your work related pursuits as well. So I just think that balance is really the key, because if you work too much, then you become slave to the grind, and you find that you're so depleted that when you do go home, you have no energy or interest in trying to be, a better parent or a better friend, or trying to have an outlet to work out, because you don't have the energy to do it. So when you are able to say, I'm going to put X amount of energy and all my energy into that piece of the pie, and then I'm going to go put energy into that, I think they overlap, and one makes the other area better.
I agree. I totally agree with you. So, okay. So here one thing also, it's like if someone's who are listening, right, and struggling to stay consistent with the, I'd say, movement, then what will be one mindset shift that can help them start, uh, seeing workouts not as tasks but as a kind of fuel for their bigger purpose?
Well, that's a great question because so many people, we were talking for the interview and you're an action movie
Yeah.
buff like I am. And
Mm,
we, we were talking about Stallone and Schwarzenegger and how they kind of were the provocateurs of the advent of the really over the top action movies that you see. And, the thing is, when we try to concentrate and try to say, I'm going to be like that guy, what you
yeah.
should do is look for incremental results or incremental progress. And instead of saying, I'm going to lose, if I'm overweight, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Why don't you set
Mm,
goals in the next month? I'm going to lose 5 pounds. So in, less than a year's time, you've lost
mm,
potentially the 50 pounds. But if you put yourself, on a major
mm,
diet and say, I'm going to work out 2 hours a day. Well, the first three letters in the word diet are DIE. They usually
mm,
don't work, they usually don't last. But if you set up incremental goals, like within the next 30 days, I'm gonna lose 5 pounds. Well, that's feasible,
correct.
that's reasonable. But if you say, I'm gonna do it within, 2 months or 3 months, lose 50 pounds, then
Mm,
that's, really hard, and you've made such an extreme turnaround in your lifestyle
mm,
that it takes the fun away from it, where if you gradually do it, it becomes more of a lifestyle than, totally rerouting your life in every feasible faction and area, and that's why people don't stick to stuff, people always
mm,
these, um, New Year's resolutions where they're gonna go to the gym,
mm,
and I've heard tons of people that work in the gym and healthcare industry
mm,
say that they'll have all these people that sign up for memberships in December and January, and within 30
mm,
days, most of those people drop out. And that's kind of the
correct.
same applicable theory is that it sounds good that I'm gonna become this guy that work but if you're not good in an area, it takes a long time to become there's no adage that it takes 10,000 hours to master anything.
Mm,
So, you know, the most valuable step is not the destination, but it's the journey. So each journey starts with a step. So you say, well, the first step is I'm going to, stop eating
mm,
too much. The second step is I'm going to incorporate a little bit of workout. So instead of working out an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, I'm going to work out for 10 or 15 minutes. And after you've done that
mm,
for a month, you say, well, I'll move it up to 15 or 20. And then, it becomes more of a lifestyle as opposed to such
mm.
a radical change.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly true. Yep. And that shift from like I have to I get to changes everything. Like I
Yes.
mean, when movement becomes kind of identity and it's not just a kind of obligation, excellence obviously follows naturally. So
Yes.
that's true.
Well,
Yeah.
it also falls in line. I had an
Mm.
instructor work with me.
Okay.
His name is Bill Superfoot Wallace. He's arguably the best kicker in the world, and he has a master's degree in kinesiology. And he always
Mm,
taught us the specific theory in physics that an object in motion
mm,
tends to stay in motion, an object
yeah.
that's still tends to stay still. So if you're in motion and you're moving, whatever you're doing that's positive, at least you're moving in the right direction. So as long as you're
Yeah.
active in some form, you're going to be doing something that's relevant and helpful to you. But if you just
Yeah.
stay still and don't move, that object tends to die. And what
Mm,
happens is if you don't you can be a great talker and say, I'm going to do this. But if you do at least a little of something, it's better than nothing.
mm, exactly. So, like, and also, like, you have always emphasized helping others achieve their goals as the key to your own success. So, how does that philosophy connect to your physical discipline?
I think you a lot.
Hmm.
I feel like for me, if I don't do something, I try to do something at least 6, 7 days a week. And if I don't do something positive, I feel like, I feel slovenly. I feel kind of s sloppy and feel like I'm out of sort and I think that's more, my mental state
Mm,
or emotional state. But I notice if I do something, even if it's not, as much as I'd want to do in a day, I at least feel like I'm productive. And that's the key. And when you feel more positive about your self-image and about yourself, that translates into other areas of your life. And you feel like, well, now I've covered this aspect of my life. Now I'm going to be able to enjoy my free time or my downtime to do what I want. Like we talked about, watching action movies. That's just one thing. But then if it goes into a work pursuit as well, well, I've covered these other few aspects in my life. Now I can fully commit to the time that I'm here to do work. And when you feel like you've been productive in that area, again, it has the carryover effect that now I go to the next thing, and it's not like you're crossing off, days of the calendar, but just the activity alone that you're doing something positive in one area carries over again into that other area, and just it's like a domino effect. One thing leads into another.
Yep, exactly. Uh, so, wow, that's amazing. I mean, and also if you could give one piece of advice to the young professionals who are about maintaining balance while also chasing the big dreams, then what would it be?
Um, I would say I've got a 23-year-old son who has kind of followed my direction. And I guess, you follow a lot of times what you're used to. So around my house, he was always used to growing up and seeing me be involved in this. And he was a kid that, and we see this a lot with the last couple of generations, where they're so enamored and enthralled with video games that
Mm,
I didn't want to be that helicopter parent where I was trying to live my life vicariously through him, or, make him do what I did. But he was honestly playing video games from the moment he woke up till the moment he
right.
went to bed. So we really didn't get to know each other that well, because I'm not a video game guy, because that wasn't prevalent or as prevalent when I was growing up. So I
Yeah.
told him at the age of 9, I played basketball, and I'm 6'5", and Janeg's good. He's 6'8".
Oh.
So I told him, and his projected height was supposed to be around mine. It's just he exceeded mine. He obviously drank more milk than I did, but and grew stronger bones and grew more. But he played basketball and was really good at that. And he had a chance to go play college ball. He opted not to. I always say I love the game. He liked the game,
Mm,
but it was a good way for him to find out about physical activity. And along the way, because he put so much time into basketball, I, he was trying martial arts at various times, just like I'd done, but I never, pushed him in that direction. And well, he's a blue belt in karate, he's a blue belt in jujitsu, and I
okay.
told him that would always be around when he wanted to. And now that he quit playing basketball and finished that
Mm,
aspect, he went and got, his undergraduate degree. He's now pursuing his MBA like I
mm,
did. He's also pursuing, like I said, his martial arts. He's been promoted a
okay.
few times in the last few years, but right now the MBA is the focal point on
Mm,
his, table or on his plate. And
okay.
I've tried to tell him that, the martial arts will always be there, but being
Mm,
physically active will help him reach the levels more and enjoy the moments more in
mm,
his academic pursuits and later on his business pursuits. So
correct.
it's there for him as an outlet, and it's always there in the back of his mind and the recesses of his mind,
Mm,
but it's not something that is at the forefront at certain times because he's so busy with
mm,
school and working a job that's at least 30 hours a week. He's still being active and working out, but he knows he's not as focused as he has to be or needs to be, because
mhm.
both are, at the forefront, meaning getting his education and starting his career. So going back to your original point, if I was telling anybody, I'd say be active and, define your goals of what you want to achieve and what you want to accomplish. But
Yeah.
realize that being active is not only good for your mind, it's good for your health long term as well.
Mm,
And it just gives you outlets so that you're not so burned out from your job, that you're able to do your job better. And in doing so, it makes you better in all aspects of your life.
mm,
And so I've seen it just with him, and he's staying with me right now while he's going to grad school to save some cost. But I
Mhm.
see that in every aspect of his life. He seems to be better. He seems to be a more focused student. He seems to, when he does go to the dojo to work out, he seems like he's more focused because he knows the time is he doesn't have
Mhm.
much of it to do that. So when he's there, he's more focused. When he's in the gym, he's more focused because he knows he only has small windows of time to do those things on the side. So when he goes, he seems to be a little more focused. But on the flip side, that focus there gives him the energy and drive to be more focused in in the academic arena as well.
Mm. That's true. That's true, definitely. Amazing. That's gold. And it's easy to think self care and service are definitely the opposites. But um, what you are describing is like how they feed each other and also
Yes,
um, kind of, I'd say, serve well because you are strong within yourself. So that is something, yes.
absolutely. Yes.
Great. So, dear listeners, I think like let's do some mini challenge, right? Let's take it a kind of challenge for you next week or maybe for 17 days. Um, like move your body with intention every day. And doesn't matter like if it's a workout, a walk, or a quick stretch between the meetings. And at the end of each day, write one line like, how did moving my body help my mindset today? Right. So, and also notice like what shifts, more focus, less anxiety, maybe even better decisions also. Right. Because the truth is, excellence isn't built in bursts, it's built in reps,
Yes.
physical, mental, and emotional,
Mhm.
right? So let's take this challenge and do let us know like what do you think, I mean, how you feel, what changes you got to see. I mean, it's really it will be great learning for all of us as well, right? Why not to share it with everyone? Do share us maybe on the social media or on the other platforms as well. And before we move, I'll quickly ask, I mean, uh, if you can share, like, if someone wants to connect with you, Mike, how they can connect.
I would say via my not website, my email, which is mikeb at repezoneresurces.com, which is Mike B at redsuneresources.com. And I was going to add one little caveat that you'd mentioned about journaling. What I do, which is very similar to what you just brought up, those little memo calendars that you can buy for a little over $1 at a,
Yeah.
you know, I would tell people if they got, a lot of people in their minds, if you think back over a week or 2 weeks period, you actually, your mind will play tricks on you. You think you worked out or did more than you actually did. But if you'll every day just jot down and say, hey, I walked for 20 minutes, or your phone now will track how long
Mm.
I walked for a mile, or I walked for a mile and a half today. You may be doing exercise and you don't even realize it. It's just your phone in your pocket tracks it. If you'll put that down and say, maybe I worked out in the gym and did this for
Mm.
20 minutes, you'll say, hey, I actually, between the walking and the 20 minutes, 35 minutes or 40 minutes today, and I didn't even realize it. And if you kind of keep a journal and kind of add up what you did in a week and say, okay, I did 3 hours this week and I really wasn't going that hard at it. Maybe I'll try and increase it by 20 minutes next week. And then you kind of get a baseline of what you want to accomplish. That's a great tool, is getting a little mini calendar, keeping it beside your nightstand, opening it up at the end of the day and say, I did this, this, and this right before you go to bed. And then you put it in and then you look at it a week and say, oh, I did 3+ hours this week,
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. Totally agree. Yep. Great, lovely. So, dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the links, details, everything into the show notes for your easy reference. And with this hope, let's dive into this powerful discussions that we had with Mike, a man who proves that motion really is the gateway to the mastery. So, till then, be happy and be mindful. Thank you so much.